Hi everybody. It's been quite a while since I've managed to do a video, and there's just so much going on. So it's really unfortunate that I haven't managed to get one done that often, but I have a bit of an idea later of how I can maybe improve my output, the frequency of my output. So first thing I want to talk about is it's 50 years since we abandoned the gold standard. 1971 is when the dollar was no longer hooked up to gold, right, under Nixon. So I was heard it said that a fiat currency has never survived more than 50 years. And right now in Vegas, they're taking bets at which month in this year the dollar is going to go boom. Given the immense amount of spending going on with Biden now. I mean, they've just totally thrown the rule book out. I feel now politicians all over the world, and even we see this with Boris Johnson now, just the rule book's gone. There's no worry about a veneer of decency, about maintaining any kind of protocols, about sticking to any traditions or rules of the game. Everything seems to be out of the window. I mean, we've got Tristan Trudeau saying he wants to be a dictator. He admires the way authoritarian regimes and totalitarian states like China can get things done, you know. And as I say, the spending that's going on and being announced in America is just off the scale. So you wonder how long this can go on. How long will the dollar go on? I know I've been asked by some of my viewers, you know, what's my prediction for the dollar? I'm not sure. Maybe we should look at 1971 and that agreement and do a chart for that. That's just occurred to me to see whether this is going to be the time when it goes to the wall. What does that mean for us? Does that mean, of course, we move during Uranus in Taurus to digital currency? You know, I've had people sort of say to me, well, you know, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to worry about with the digital currency and all that. Well, you know, I just find that a baffling concept because, you know, do you have curtains in your house? Well, what have you got to hide? You know, at the end of the day, we all have our secrets. Even with people's spouses or their parents or their children, there are things you do not tell everybody. And you certainly don't want the government knowing more about you. We don't trust them as it is. They're the last people we want to have access to all our details. For a start, they'll probably lose them. Remember, they went through that spate in the UK of leaving CDs of information or sensitive information on tubes and trains and, you know, with their mistress at the brothel. There was even a case of that. So your information is not safe in their hands, plus they'll probably sell it on to monetize it. So you really don't want them having that grip on you. Especially, people don't seem to understand what's coming down the line. You know what they're hawking for, this whole climate thing. Then they'll be watching your spending. Oh, you ate too much meat, you're spending too much on clothes, you're having too many holidays, you're putting too much petrol in, taking too many unnecessary journeys, you know. So the scope for controlling your consumption patterns, your freedoms through a digital currency is immense. Your whereabouts, everything. So there's a good reason not to have it. Now, just to chat about what I've got on the screen up here. This is a tender that's gone out in Scotland. It's called the Disaster Victim Identification Shelters. It's Police Scotland looking to purchase shelters for disaster victim identification purposes in the event of a mass fatality incident. They're really talking about these forensic shelters. They're sort of these marquee type tents you could put up rather quickly to house bodies. And a lot of people are saying, you know, what the hell is this about? By the way, you can look at this Public Contracts Scotland.gov.uk is where it is. I can put a link for you in the description box. So, I mean, the question is, what are they anticipating? Why do they need this? Now, I don't think this could possibly be anything to do with the ongoing health situation, because you wouldn't need to identify those people, because obviously you're going to present with symptoms, you might be hospitalized, intubated, whatnot, right? So it's no need for them to identify you because there's plenty of time to identify you. And this says disaster. I'm wondering, or almost anticipating, some sort of either nuclear disaster or something that they could leverage in the climate debate. So say, oh, because we've had this disaster, we can't have nuclear, or because we've had this disaster, it shows how dangerous ... is, and that could be used again to shunt us in a certain direction. So they seem to be anticipating something going on. Maybe we should be looking at the charts of Glasgow or Scotland to get an idea of what in particular could be happening. Now, you will remember always curious to look at these tenders going out, isn't it? Because you never quite know what they might be planning. All bets are off. Now, like I was saying with Biden, there's no pretense even. I mean, we know what was covered up in terms of his son's laptop and the corruption that was going on when he was vice president with China, and that they know, and they don't even care because they feel that their grip on the media and their control is that powerful. I also find it rather strange in this Boris's surprise wedding in a Catholic ceremony. I mean, I'm not Catholic, but my understanding of the Catholic faith is that being married 3 times is a no-no. This is his 3rd marriage. He's been shacked up with a woman young enough to be his daughter. They've had a child out of wedlock. They have, apparently his 2nd wife was ill with cancer when he was, I believe that he was pursuing this relationship with Kerry during that phase when his 2nd wife was ill. There's a lot of animosity going on with that, obviously very upsetting for the children. Wikipedia put his number of children as unknown, but this is the man who is going to get married in a Catholic ceremony. I do think it's insulting for people who are Catholic, because that's been a long-standing thing, that's just like a no-no, and you don't get to be, he gets to be married in the most prestigious Catholic cathedral in England, despite what I've kind of just mentioned has been going on, which in today's terms, this is a normal thing. People have relationships break down, and yeah, okay, all sorts of things go on. But then it does seem an incredible double standard, because I know a lot of people will be turned away, and a lot of people's children will be turned away from even being baptized in such circumstances. But all rules seem to be waived for Boris, I just wonder when a lot of people, these people, they're Catholic. Yeah, like how exactly are you Catholic? I mean, do you go to Mass regularly? Are you following the catechisms, right? Do you actually believe in Jesus? Do you even talk about Jesus? Because my bet would be a lot of these people claiming to be Catholic, like Tony Blair, don't ever think about these concepts. And, I don't think they say prayers. I don't think they do rosary. In fact, I'd be flabbergasted if they did. And yet they kind of like to wear this Catholicism as some badge of moral superiority, or to maybe convince people, like, doesn't Biden claim to be a Catholic as well, that they do have a moral compass when, I mean, it's pretty clear they don't. Whatever. Anyhow, that was my feelings on the subject. Like I say, I don't really care what people do in their private life, but when there's a clear hypocrisy going on, sure, get married, do what you want, go and get married in the court, but don't bring a kind of don't rub it in the faces of a lot of people who do take their religion seriously. Okay guys, now obviously I can't really monetize any of my content on YouTube, because I'm tending always to talk about these subjects which they are totally aggro to, but I have a number of books. They aren't available on Amazon. They'd be available in PDF format. And if you were interested in buying any of these books for, say, a sum of £3 or a dollar amount, $4, I would be totally happy to be sending them to you. I'm going to provide a long list of all these books under it. I have like a book for each star sign. These are particularly catered to women. They include everything you need to know about your star sign, probably geared more to romance and love, but there's a bit of everything in there with compatibility. I've got a book on every moon sign, so if you know your man's moon sign and you need to know more about how the moon sign influences your man, there's a book on that. I've recently done 2 excellent books on how to use the phases of the moon to tap into that energy and to coordinate your goals, targets, and things like that, even whether it's to do with your career, love, your spiritual development, to tap into the phases of the moon to enhance the utilization of that energy that's available at the different phases. I've described exactly what each phase means, what the ripe opportunities are within that phase, and how to use it. And there's also kind of a bit of detail in that book of how the moon influences your personality. So those are 2 books you may be interested in, and gosh, undoubtedly there's some others in the list there that I'm going to put in. There's a detailed book if you are Gemini Rising, and a detailed book for Cancer Rising. Don't have all the rising signs yet, but as I say, it's a way of, instead of just like, I don't ask for donations, but I can provide you with some wonderful content and in a PDF format. And, you know, we can do a little deal that way. I don't know if they'll work. I mean, I can see a lot of people maybe wouldn't go for that. But there you go. It's just an idea I've had. And the more I can maybe gain some funds, it helps me to do a lot more output. So it's just an idea. And I'll put a little list in the link below. Guys, on my BitChute channel, one of you asked, and I quoted Alexis Bugnolo, and someone said, where do you find the article? It's actually a video. I haven't been able to comment on my own BitChute account. I left a detailed comment and then it just wasn't showing up. So if you were the person who was asking for that link in the quote I did, when it was all about the satanic ones wanting us to be as evil and twisted and warped as they are. It's Alexi Bugnolo Truth. Just do a search on that, Google Alexi Bugnolo Truth, and that'll come up for you, that video where he says that. I recommend you all to that video. It's very enlightening, particularly it's a kind of spiritual, political angle. I feel it's very hard-hitting, especially coming from a monk or a friar. So yeah, you might want to have a check out of that. Now, I'm hoping to do 1 or 2 more today, because I've got some interesting stuff. I think one is going to have to be over. The second one today is going to have to be over at BitChute and Library or Odyssey, because it's going to involve some things that they wouldn't want us talking about on here. Thanks, guys.